Hey folks. Well, I hope you guys can see me all right. I don't know if I can see me. Shoot. All right. Well, uh I guess whenever you guys it looks like my okay, it looks like my microphone's working. Let's make sure before I go on my little tirade. Uh can you guys see me and hear me if anyone pops in? Um yeah, this is I normally will do a Tuesday talk show. Hey Tiger, thank you. I appreciate it. And I was gonna sit down and do this in the truck, and I'm like, "No, I'm tired of being in the truck, so I'm gonna go outside and go do this fun." And of course, the orange asshole cat immediately jumps on my face and goes, "Wow!" And so yeah, I had to feed him to shut him up. So now he's happily eating in the corner over there. Uh, it's been very interesting talking to some of the guys and girls here in Texas, people with different backgrounds about everything that's going on. And I find it, I got to tell you, everything going on is pretty historic right now. I don't think we're fully appreciating how historic it is because we're stuck smack in the middle of it, which kind of sucks. Hold on, let me switch to live chat. There we go. So, but I will tell you, it's been interesting because you look at the headlines today. And at this point, our friend in Vlad in Russia has already called Netanyahu after he called a handful of countries. And what's interesting is the countries he called were Iran, Syria, Libya, Egypt, and there was one more. Hey, Nanya, what's going on? But if you go back to Donald Rumsfeld's, the five countries they wanted to take out basically or collapse or change their regime right after 9/11 was Iran, Syria, Libya, um, Lebanon, and there was one more. I just blanked out. But there was a series of countries, and right now the only one left standing in any functional way is Iran. Mind you, those are also the countries that were allied with Russia and or China, mainly with Russia back in the day. So it's interesting that we've come full circle here. What are we, 2023? So it's been 22 years since 9/11 and 21, depending how you round off. And since that time, Iraq is in shambles. Lebanon is not doing well. Palestine's not doing well. Uh, I'm trying to think who else. Syria and Libya are not doing well. Uh, it's called sometimes it happens with age. Yeah, I'm telling you, Tiger. I feel you. Hey, Angie. Um, so it's interesting that here we are 20 something years later. And all of those countries he named, now, mind you, the list of countries they were going to change did not include Egypt, who's allied very closely with both us and England, um, did not include Morocco or Algeria, which are friends of the French, not Qatar, friends of the French, Saudi, our friends. It only included those countries allied with China and Russia. This was back in the 20s. So, in a lot of cases, I'm thinking, you know, 63. No, you got some time on me. I just turned 52. So, or I'm about to. I'm still 51. But anyway, seems like it could be what it takes to get Iran to attack. See, Watchmen, and those are the variables. Those are the wild cards. So I spoke to a few guys here at the group. There's a bunch of service members work out here. And we kind of have an organization. You'll see more of that going forward because I'm going to try and help them with their web pages and whatnot. But I asked him. I said, "What do you think happened in Israel? How the hell did that happen?" And one was a Teams guy, and he looked me dead in the eye across the desk. He says, "I'll give you my opinion." I said, "Shoot." He said, "Complacency." I said, "You think so?" He said, "Yep. Same thing that got us in 9/11. It's gonna get us the next time." It's been so long since they really bled that they got confident in their tech, they got confident, hey, Yardbirds, in all their other stuff, and, they let their guard down. And he said, "The low-tech strategy works." He said, "I did 2 tours in Afghanistan, man, and the low-tech was always the tough one to fight." Which I think is interesting. The US has big boom ships off the See, and this is what concerns me is it doesn't benefit Iran, right? Because it's gonna get ugly. It doesn't really benefit us. Our economy is not doing well. Um, kill us now. Is it vampires? No, no vampires. Actually, we're kinda I was talking to some of the guys here. One's a Teams guy, how this happened to the Israelis, and he said complacency. He said it happens. Um, he said the Western world has not had an ugly incident in a hot minute. We brought ugly to other places and it didn't come to us. And hence they got complacent. And he said, and the other team went really low tech and all the bougie he said the way he put it, all the bougie shit in the world is really hard to stop a bulldozer going through a fence, regardless of how many towers and cameras you have. And I'm like, that's a damn good point, man. So hey, Devil Dog. Yeah, no, well, we forget, right? And that's another point he brought up was, it's been 22 years since we've had an ugly here. Yeah, we have riots and shootings and crime and whatnot. But he said it's been a while since we had an ugly. He said we've gotten complacent, we've gotten fat and lazy. I can't disagree. I think we've all talked about that. So at least those of us in our community, we need to keep on our game. But part of what I wanted to talk about tonight was also what the banks are doing. So this is interesting because all of us are looking overseas right now, and the banks. I just went by a few. One of them was a Bank of America branch. I don't do business with them because I'm pissed at them from something that happened years ago. But on the wall it said, "Are you not getting enough of a return?" It was like a sign on the door. Um, talk to your banking advisor because we can help you do X, Y, and Z. Sorry about that sun there, guys. Try and move this over a little bit. There we go. Oh, nope, that didn't work. There we go. We can help with X, Y, and Z and cent of the pound. I'm almost 200 pounds. I haven't been this small since I was 12. The fact that you were heavier than most guys I know and you were small at 12, that's just scary, Joe. But anyway, Joe's a big guy for those of you who don't know Joe or don't interact with him. Possibly Watchmen. Possibly. The carriers would be a big juicy target. I don't like the fact we have two of them in the Mediterranean. There's not a lot of space to move around there. But gypsies. But yeah, they do, Tiger. They do. Hey now, I lost weight. That's Devil Dog. Um, but so the bank that advertisement they had on the door was like, talk to your we can get you better returns, move your money to this type of account. And hey, Vision, thank you so much. And do you know, so I started reading it, right? One of my coworkers is like, "What are you doing? You going to open an account?" And I was like, "No, there's a catch in here. This looks too good." And he looks at me and he's like we are, right? He doesn't trust anyone. And he's like, "They're going to try and screw the working guy." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but this working guy wants to see what the hell they put there." So at the bottom, hey, local, what's going on, brother? At the bottom, it says, uh, this is an investment account, not a money market account, not a savings or checking. This is an investment account. Returns are not guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. Um, the rate of return is estimated. Keep in mind, you will not, this is not FDIC insured. Now, remember About last month, this time last month, the banks were all complaining because the FDIC, the feds were saying you need to have 3% reserves as opposed to 2 or 4 instead of 3, whatever it was. It was like 1 or 2% increase, and the banks freaked out. The reason the banks freaked out is because they're over leveraged in a lot of investments, and they would have to sell stuff at a loss to pull cash to cover those requirements. The reasons the feds are saying to do it is because they are, hey, Wolfang, they are, that fact is real. Never heard of Joe. What? Hold on. I lost something here. Opinion on the draft and people saying they won't answer the call. I got a thought about that, man. You can tell a werewolf. All right, hold on. It is Yardbird. Okay. In any case, everyone's making jokes here. Okay, but so in any case, what banks are trying to do right now is to convince you to switch your accounts, your savings and checking, because they're not making much of anything anyway, right? I mean, unless you got a special bank, move them not to a money market account where you do have some protection, but to move you to these investment banks, which is exactly what happened in China. Remember, they were telling people, "Oh, you want a rate of return? Put it in this investment tool." And then they said, "Oh, those aren't insured." And that's when the Chinese rioted about a year ago. Do you remember that? And they rolled armored cars in to scare the populace, but they were punching cops in a few of the cities in China because they couldn't get their money out. It's the same thing. Is the banks are trying to move accounts into the non-FDIC type because that allows them to say, hey, look, we only have this much liability in an insurable set of accounts. All the other money is investment. We don't need to insure that. Hence, we don't need to pull that extra cash. But what that does for the working folks and those of us who hold accounts is your account is no longer FDIC insured. You have no claim against the bank. And if they go under or declare bankruptcy, you can't make a claim to the Fed saying, hey, this is an insured account because it's not. And that's concerning. That's upsetting. And hey, winning streak. Hey, watch Wolfang and Tiger, Yardbirds. Hold on, there's a bunch of people in here. Local dropped in real quick. Something about the jab, and I can't. Just went by. Crap. Winning streak just walked in the door. So it's video in the hospital of those blown up in Gaza. Oh yeah, and it's in certain people's interest to escalate what's going on in the Middle East. Not in ours, not in the, everybody, normal people. It's not our benefit. But going back to the banks, be careful. Whatever they're sending you, oh, we're going to increase your credit limit. Oh, we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to do that. Understand how that affects your credit score, your debt, um, the insurability and the protection you have in normal accounts, because you start moving money around into something that's not insured in the bank creators and you're hosed. And hey, Pennsylvania preparedness. Always good to catch a live before it ends. Yeah, I've been all over the map this month, man. It's just Pennsylvania's just been crazy. But covered all those. Correct, Devil Dog. Most of them, because those were savings checking accounts up to like a quarter million or whatever the limit is. But what the banks are trying to do because of that is convince people, oh, you'll get 10% return if you put it in this account. And at the fine print at the bottom, it's not FDIC insured, which on the books, the bank can tell the feds, hey, look, I only have this much that needs to be insured. The rest is investment tools and therefore not protected. And it's all about the bank's benefit, not about yours and mine. So pay attention if they try to change things. Tiger, true, but at least you can make a claim of some type. Whereas right now, you don't have without that, if you go to an investment account, you have, or whatever tool they call it, you have no protection. Yeah, under mattress, protected by Glock, definitely a good place for certain things to be for valuables. But understand that while we're all looking over there, so we all know that conflict typically boosts economies, but a lot of people forget it could have the opposite effect. It can crater an economy, especially if you don't win. Now, does that mean we would go and lose a war? I don't know. But the level of devastation and expanded conflict would bring to everybody just blows my mind. You thought World War II was bad. Imagine that everywhere. So, hey, Kevin. So, yeah, watch the banks, watch what they're doing, because while we're all looking over there, they're changing the type of account you have. Recently, T-Mobile started changing people's accounts automatically to the upgraded account. And what it means is you get less minutes, less data, and get charged more unless you opt out and you had a deadline to opt out. So, what they do, they mail you a letter. They don't email you, they don't text you, hey, check your account or you'll be screwed. No, they mail you a letter. It takes 7 days to get to you. You have 21 to opt out. And their hope is you don't look at that damn thing for another 7 days. And by the time you realize it, you've run out of time to opt out. And a lot of companies are going to start doing this. A lot. Thank you, Vision. A lot of folks. Hold on, I lost it. The fact 2,000 red troops going to the bagel country massively annoys me. And Joe, that's concerning. Now, Devil Dog brought up another point. Now that I threw the bank thing out there, so watch the banks and watch your accounts, your cell phone, your data, because I bet they're going to start trying to make changes to charge you more and give you less. So prepared to go battle them, opt out, whatever it is. Go call someone, email them. Hey, Widow's Diary, and go and beat them up a little bit. Absolutely do that. So to the draft. So there's a lot of people on social media all over the map saying, "I'm not going to send my daughter to war." Uh, right now, in order for them to change the selective service and the draft rules, it will have to go through Congress. I don't think Congress is going to make that change just yet. You never know. Now, because of the nature of the way wars are now, there's no longer a front line. The front line moves everywhere. So a lot of females who are in non-combative roles, logistics, helicopter pilots, etc., wind up getting shot at, right? So regardless of where the women are, there if they're already in uniform, there's a distinct chance they could wind up in seeing combative action. As far as drafting females, I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know if it's gonna play out the way we think it will. I do know that a statement was made by a Pentagon official stating that trans women can be considered for draft because technically if you were born a biological male and they use that distinction, you're eligible for draft. So now there's a bunch of people freaking out over that. If a draft were held today, a registrant would be guaranteed a personal appearance before his board if he wanted to appeal his classification. Yeah. And local, thanks for sharing that. Yeah. And so again, it's been a while. It's been since the Vietnam War, since we had a draft. There would probably be a lot of litigation. We're a very litigative society. So more than likely that's going to go to court. That's going to get challenged. It'll become a three-ring circus. Um, I paid my rent. I liked and am subscribed. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I heard some college took out tampon machines from the guy's bathroom. I don't even know why I paid my rent too. Nice. Uh, we would have to repeal an amendment. Hold on a second here. I'm losing the chat. Doggone it. And well, shoot. All right. Well, the little arrow will not. Hold on a second here. Oh, there we go. So hold on. Ah, doggone it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing how this plays out. But as far as our economy right now, so if you guys saw on my community page, I pre-posted an article from a month ago where they were speculating oil would go over 100 a barrel. Um, we got close. We got to 94. a few weeks ago, and then it went back down. Now it's been hovering between 80 and 90. It goes up, it goes down. Clemson students, they should put the tampons in their ears. But anyway, Joe, you should try actually try the bread recipe I did because it's only 3 ingredients. It's super cheap to make. Um, I don't know if that's going to pass again. It would have to go through Congress. Things would have to change. Um, that being said, a draft would be largely unpopular because a lot of people don't support Israel. Not everyone. I think the majority do, but the majority of Americans don't want to start another war. We just got out of one that dragged on for 20 years in Afghanistan, and they're going to want to push us. Hey, Rocky, what's going on? They're going to want to bump us into uh, yet another conflict. Right now, we've sent a lot of our excess gear, our excess munitions, a lot of the stuff that would be used in a short term roll up to arm and equip new units has been sent overseas. Now, maybe not all of it. We don't know the exact extent of what the military has in storage, right? But point being, Ukraine, the fact that our explosives and munitions companies are barely keeping up with what Ukraine needs, we're going to go and then support Israel. In the past, so you go back to World War II, in the past, as they issued the M1 Garand to regular units, as new units were formed, a lot of them wound up with the older Springfield rifles until the M1s caught up with production. A lot of the stuff we've sent overseas or we left in Afghanistan, which still pisses me off, by the way, would have been used for new units. It would have been older gear, right? Leftover gear, but it would have been sufficient to operate to bring up new units. Now that's gone. So any new units coming up, we're going to have to get them new gear. I don't know how fast we can do that. We can't even keep our own inflation rate straight. So I'm not sure. Tiger, a lot of what's been sent to Eastern Europe, a lot of what's been sent to Eastern Europe has been found on the black market. There's reports in Panama and in Costa Rica and in Mexico that they're finding gear that we left in Afghanistan on the black market. How true that is, it's kind of hard to say. It wouldn't surprise me. There's always a market for weapons. So, uh, as far as more troops being spun up to the Middle East, that I don't know. The guys I've spoken to who are still in uniform or still have ties to that, most of them are being very tight-lipped because they don't know. Hey, book club, what's going on? They don't know what's going on, or they don't want to say. Uh, Point being, one of the things from my conversation with the guys earlier is the complacency factor. Um, we've become so confident in our security here, and I see we as an entire nation, that I think we've become complacent in how things are actually being done and taken care of. There's even an article today saying there is no open border. It's not what everyone says it is. You know, it's all under control. It's not under freaking control. It's a shit show. The mayor of New York was crying to close the border, and then apparently he got smacked on the head because he came on a week later and supported the border policy. You know, we all know that man did not support the border policy. He's pissed off at what's happening in New York because the governor of Texas was like, "Well, if y'all want open borders, we're going to send them to you too. You're going to share the pain." And it's weird. It's weird, and yeah, it's hubris. And winning streak, a lot of them are scattered around the U.S. A lot of our weapons are made overseas. Like the M249 is actually, I believe, a Belgian-made weapon. Uh, there's stuff we get from other places, so supply chain disruption would definitely make it hard for us to manufacture anything, right? Chips, gunpowder, whatever it is we get, wherever we get it. Pennsylvania preparedness, you're absolutely right. FUBAR border BS, yeah. Um, yeah, winning streak. No, I got exactly what you were where you were going with that. 100%. Uh, Now Biden says he wants a wall. Well, why? You're going to trap them in now. Like, so what I find interesting is we're getting a lot of reports here in Texas that state troopers and border patrol they're getting really aggressive in chasing people down now. They just had a video in a local newspaper. Um, State troopers, two or three of them, were after a van full of migrants, and they wound up pit maneuvering the vehicle, and it rolled, and it just rolled like a tootsie roll all the way into the grass. They pulled out three young females who were slightly injured. One guy ran, and he got the dog, and the other one tried to run away, but they tackled him. It turns out the three females were about to be sold somewhere. So the girls are rescued and the assholes are going to jail. But good to know. Wonder what the pay is. Hold on a second. But it will take another reality check to realize that things are not, we're not doing the right things as a country. Um, my personal take, I said it this morning, this kind of operation, what happened in Israel, very genius, very well executed. They had all the people in silos. They were training the different groups, the paragliders, the guys on motorcycles, whoever else, the drone people, separately. And only a handful of people knew everything that was going on. And they said, when we need you, we'll just tell you where to go. And so they sent a notification out. All the drone operators showed up where they were told. The paragliders showed up, and they said, "Okay, here's what we're going to do, and we're doing it in 3 hours." And off they went. Um, But I have no doubt someone inside the wire was facilitating it, whether it was shutting things down, hacking things. Something had to have happened. That was too well executed, and not enough tripwires were set off. I just find it hard to believe one of the most secure borders in the world had that happen. And also they had just moved that concert everyone talked about. They had just moved it like 2 days before from another venue to that one because of a threat. And yet the Hamas guys landed right at the outskirts of that concert and then proceeded to attack the concert goers. So surely, they knew something, right? Somebody said something. Somebody had to have tipped them off. Hey, Casey, what's going on? Got killed in the Hornady explosion. He literally just so that's going to cost 5 times as much. Probably so. As such and or pissed. Well, what's funny, a lot of the local immigrants, Tiger, out here, they're just pissed that we're letting them in. They're like, these are not good people. Especially the Cubans. They're like, we left Cuba because of those guys. Why are you bringing them here? Do you know what's going to happen? And like, the Venezuelans, it blows their mind. They're like, they're assholes. Why are you bringing them here? So it's sad that as an illegal arrest with pounds of fentanyl. That fentanyl stuff reminds me of what the British did to the Chinese with the opium wars, is what China's doing to us with fentanyl, or somebody's doing it to us with fentanyl. Apparently, one of the cartels got so offended by fentanyl that El Chapo's son Chapito allegedly has claimed, according to Mexican news, that if he finds anyone dealing with fentanyl and not the cocaine and the other normal drugs, he's going to have shot, and he's going to give their little part of the empire to another player who will obey, because he said it's bad business. And I hate to say it, but honestly think we were better off with the 5 cartel families in Mexico than the 32 groups of assholes we have now, right? Because the families, at least they had rules. There were certain things you did and didn't do. People could go back and forth. They didn't screw with tourists. They didn't kidnap American tourists. They didn't kill children. And now it's just psychosis down there. So, but I do believe that fentanyl. You think about how many people are or addicted or screwed up because of that stuff. I mean, this is not cocaine. This isn't, opium based stuff that just makes people pass out. No, this is some jacked up stuff. So is that our military trained some of those dudes too. Yeah, book clubs. So the Zetas were actually trained in Fort Benning with our airborne guys to counter drug operate in Mexico. And then the Mexican government at the time screwed them, and they're like, well, fine, fuck you. We're going to take over the cartel because we know where they are anyway. And they were trained, they had the hardware, so they went and took over the cartel. So compressed Rex was after we got, yeah, no kidding. It's sarcasm. No, yeah, no, Joe. God. Um, but yeah, it looks like we've gone through all of the countries that were on Rumsfeld list except for Iran. That's the last one. So, but watch the banking system. Don't get too distracted with what's going on overseas. We don't have a Speaker of the House. Apparently, that fell through. And now they're going on recess, right? Mind you, they're going to continue to get their paychecks while we go into, potential government shutdown that's going to not result in checks for many of us or many of you. It's going to, they're going to get their checks and go to their bougie apartments. So we never found the imaginary. Oh, from Iraq? Yeah, no, we didn't. A new drinker of the house. We do need a new drinker of the house. Uh, but folks, pay attention to the banks, pay attention to the finances, watch what the banks and the cell phones, all these companies are doing. They're trying to change the way our business is being run. Our accounts are changing. They're trying to change our subscriptions to our cell phone service in order to charge us more. Hey, Psycho Billy, what's going on? And protect themselves. Um, I have it, Joe. There you go. Uh, Wolfgang has the yellow cake. But now Russia has formally called Israel after they called all their buddies in the Middle East, not including Egypt. Well, I think they called Egypt, but not including Saudi, Qatar, the UAE, because they're not friends with Russia. So a lot of things at once, but now the Russians have presented themselves as a player. The U.S. has presented itself as a player. Um, and keep in mind, just north of the Med is the Black Sea, where they're right now in the middle of a Ukraine conflict. Uh, the news from Africa and MSN earlier reported that a lot of the African economies are now really going to have problems because imports are going to really be slow because now all the stuff coming from Europe is going to have to pass multiple war zones to get to them. It's going to increase their cost. So it's that's exactly, it's take the money and run 100%. Hey, Jason, shalom. So folks, keep doing what you're doing. Watch your accounts though. Watch the games they're playing, and that right after I did my morning live, that advertisement on the bank door, because I'm in a bank building. It's like a 20-story building, but the bank's on the first floor. And I walked in, so it was on all the doors, and I'm like, you guys are changing people's accounts. And if people don't understand the fine print, then if the bank has to liquidate, they say, well, your cash wasn't insured anyway, so it sucks to suck. And you don't have a legal claim against them. You have no tool to use against the bank. So make sure the banks don't do that to you. You're going to see credit cards increase your limit spontaneously, even if you don't request it. And it's to make their accounts look good, where they're like, oh, we don't have 50% credit due. We have only 30% because they've increased everyone's credit limit. So on the books, it looks like more money to be loaned and it's a smaller percent that they have distributed, but that's not the case. Also, keep in mind, if they change your credit limit, it's going to make your credit score go up because your percentage of credit used is going to decrease, right? And when that happens, a lot of people see, oh, I have more money to use. No, you don't have more money to use. You have more debt to get into if you don't manage it the right way. There's a time and a place for credit cards, but you can't be crazy about it. So I turned my change in. They used to give you a receipt. They choose where to deposit it. Really? Winning streak? Holy cow. and your percentage rate of paying back. Yeah. So, most definitely. Thank you, Devil Dog. I appreciate you, man. So, folks, later today, and we're getting, no, it's almost not 5 yet. So later today, today's Tuesday, right? I think we have Vision, Hudson, Angry. New York Prepper's been pretty regular at night. Wolfang, are you going on later tonight? I can't remember who else. My freaking coins. Hey, Jersey Shore, what's going on? No. Okay, Wolfang is not live tonight. KC, are you going on later tonight, or Devil Dog? Hey, Monique. So I just do videos during the week. Oh, okay, no, not tonight. Okay, so it's going to be the Vision and then Hudson, Angry Prepper, and Angry Truth if he does both. And I think New York Prepper now's been all over the map. He's been jumping nights, so I don't know if he'll be on either. But But yeah, folks, pay attention to what's going on. Watch what the banks are doing. They're playing games with people's accounts. Read the fine print. If you get a notice saying, "Oh, changing your account," don't just blow it off. Read through it. Take a few minutes. Grab a highlighter and you know put something down. You know, read. Make sure they're not playing games with you. Hey, Mimi, welcome. Pinball is Prepper Now and Pinball. Oh, that's who I meant. Prepper Now. Thank you. I said the Crisis Report. I guess the same. It's his other channel. Um, there's several. I almost quit doing lives because no one gets notifications. Oh, that's weird. Maybe it's the algorithm. I don't know. Like they say, it helps your algorithm if you schedule your live like 24 hours in advance. My schedule's so erratic. Like I can do the morning live like I've been doing for weeks on end, and then all of a sudden I have 1 week that goes down the toilet, and I can't do a single one, and then I come back again. So I don't even try because it's just going to confuse people. But you might have pissed off the YouTube gods. Uh, but yeah, the banks are being shady to Monique's point. So be careful out there. Watch what the banks are doing with your accounts, with your terms. Watch your cell phone companies. Like I said, T-Mobile's playing games, and keep an eye on what's going on in your local area. Keep an eye out for demographics, changes, new people that don't look like they fit. Not being discriminatory, but like you kind of know who lives in your neighborhood. You have people cruising the subdivisions, kind of looking sus. You know, you don't live here and you're not my people's. Then pay attention to that kind of stuff. Uh, yes, if you can print out hard copies of your accounts or make a PDF of them, however you do it, that's not a bad idea. Now, granted, it may be a snapshot, right? You get your statement from the last month. Well, that was last month, and then next month you have to print a new one. But at least you have some reference showing you had an account and there was stuff in there. So, hey, thank you, Kevin, for subbing Devil Dog. I got a text here. My account was canceled. I called the bank manager and he said it's a scam. Yeah, watch the scammers are on high. They've got some high end scams going on. So be careful. Be careful. No one rides for free. That was as cash or grass. There you go. And should have documents package. Yes. Also, if you have not done so, if you choose to get a passport, even if you don't plan to travel immediately, I would do it because it is a valid alternate ID. If you lose your driver's license, your passport's at the safe at the house or in the closet somewhere, it's another option to go get a new license and you're not having to battle everything. Uh, yeah, Raccoon. No, Raccoon. Just as as Joe pointed out, be aware of what's going on around you. Plan ahead and make sure you have and start small and start on budget, right? So I don't know your situation, but a lot of the college kids who ask me stuff on, especially on TikTok, I get a slew of college kids. I'll be like, look. Go to ready.gov. They have a list for your hurricane box, right? It's like basically a 72-hour box. Buy a cheap ass milk crate or one of those stupid gray Tupperwares that Walmart sells that nobody really likes, but they work. And put your stuff in there. It should run you. I think the Tupperware will be the most expensive thing, right? Some toilet paper, flashlights, canned food, can openers, stuff like that. Think of going camping for a few days and then build from there. Because if you do $5, $10 a paycheck, and you pick up some ramen, you some pasta, some extra, put it to the side, you're going to very quickly fill that bin. Then you'll need another bin, and then you just build from there. Uh, I think it's by default, Raccoon Eyes. I think once I'm still stuffing my pie hole. Uh, I think as you get new IDs, you wind up getting the real ID, whatever the hell that does for you. I was hungry, so I got seconds. Um, Passport isn't as easy and it won't fly, and I don't fly, so I'll pass. Right, it's not for everyone. But so I renewed mine, which was easy because I've had mine for a while. My wife got her first one, and she knew we may be traveling early next year. She sent it out in June, and June, July, August. No, she sent it in July, mid July, August, September. No, June, July, August. She just got it back in September. So it took us almost 10 weeks to get it back. So if you do need a passport for legitimate purposes, fill out the paperwork and expect to wait for a while. Uh, I've been camping for the last 30 years where I live. Yeah, no, and if you're already out in the country or you spend a lot of time outdoors, you probably already have a lot of the equipment. Camping stove, you can go get stuff cheap that's functional, and then as you understand more about your situation and what you do and don't need, you can upgrade and say, wow, well, I use the camp stove a lot and the flashlights, but I really don't use this other widget. Well, don't buy another widget. um, Upgrade your camp stove once it's time, and get something better. So, yeah, Monique, I always have a passport because of my job, but also if for some reason there's an event and I have friends in other countries and I need to go to another country for some reason, um, it's a lot easier for me with a passport. Just saying. But folks, pay attention. Don't panic. Hey, Vision, thank you. Vision does go on in about 30 minutes, so he's probably going to get ready here. Thank you for jumping in, Trent. I appreciate it. Wolfang also. Uh, but folks, take your time. Um, do it systemically and pay attention to the little things because that's where you get screwed. The bank account changes, the cell phone changes. If your bill suddenly changes by 30, 40, 50%, call them, whatever bill it may be, and challenge that shit and tell them, no, that doesn't fly. But so the neighbor's granddaughter is trying to get my corgi to go over there, but the corgis are inside. She thinks the cat is the dog. So, that's kinda funny. She's she's hilarious because they have a dog over there that does zoomies with mine, and she laughs, and then she barks at her dog to make him bark, so mine barks, and then they do zoomies again, and she laughs. 20 minutes of entertainment for that little girl. She thinks that's awesome. Um, but Raccoon, yes, don't get overwhelmed. Joe's absolutely everyone's be systemic, take your time, and, start with the most basic things. Flashlight, poncho, canned food, extra potty paper, stuff like that. Think of a blackout, a hurricane for 2 days, and then build from there. And if you wanna buy bulk and you're on a budget, get some friends to come in with you and tell them, "Oh, we're gonna save money if we buy like this, and we'll just divvy it up." And if they happen to be preppers, great. If they're not, you're saving money, and that's a good appealing point too. So, I mean, who doesn't wanna save money nowadays, right? But yeah, you guys got this. You know, we're doing the right things. Just continue to be systemic. Be careful with how you do it. And oh, Tiger, I hated the pump up stove, but Don't make yourself crazy. Harbor Freight is a good place. You know what, Raccoon Eyes? Harbor Freight has plenty of tools that fit the bill for a budget, and then you can go from there. Now she's harassing the other neighbor's dogs, which are barking, as you can hear in the background. So, yeah, stay on budget. Don't run up credit cards now. Don't run up debt. You got 5, $10 extra somewhere stashed. Hell, if you start with a new flashlight and a rain jacket, that's probably a damn good start, and then work from there. And you know, hell, I was prepping as a college kid, and I did not have a lot of money back then. Um, but I always had, miscellaneous camping gear. And you can also find, just run amok. You can also find a lot of used or discounted stuff if you search around. So keep an eye out for the sales, especially when the weather gets real cold. Some of the camping stuff goes on sale, so they make room for next year's stuff. You might be able to get a deal. But folks, look, be safe over there. Kevin Ramsey, thanks for jumping in on everybody's channels. These are a lot of good content creators. So, but be safe. You guys be careful out there. Uh, don't get into debt. Don't get in trouble, or try to avoid getting caught if you're getting in trouble. And take your time. Be systemic, but watch what the banks are doing. Watch what your accounts are doing, because they're going to try and protect themselves at your expense. Don't let them do it. Challenge that shit. Get on the phone, call them, and complain. You guys be good. Be safe out there. God bless. There's a bunch of good lives this evening, so I'm going to go finish some paperwork, and I will catch you guys at the next live. You all be safe.